Screen.
Yeah. Voilà.
Okay. Should we start?
Yeah.
Yes, let's go for it.
Okay. So, welcome everybody. So my name is Emmanuel Benard. I'm the head of the program. Through those slides, I'll give you a brief summary of the activity proposed through the semester, spring semester. Yeah, if you just press that one on return. Return.
Ici, entrée.
Okay, so that program was just proposed some years ago because in SUPAERO there was the difficulty of balancing the books of incoming and outgoing students for exchanges because our primary program just in engineering is given in French. So basically, we invented that program to be also tuned to the needs of undergraduate students in Anglo-Saxon system. So the program is fully taught in English. It's targeted essentially to junior and senior students, more with background in aerospace engineering or mechanical engineering. So we accept all the backgrounds, but it's a bit more challenging. We target, well, the initial program is really targeted just to 15 US credits, but some students also prefer to do less. And there's the possibility of adding a project and so on. And there is a set of also future and technical visits. So we have basically 6 modules proposed, one on aircraft design, another one on applied aerodynamics and propulsion, aircraft structure, dynamic system and control, and French as a foreign language, including some cultural activities, and a research project which can be tuned to 6 or 12 ECTS. We have to divide by 2 to get the US credits. When the research project is 12 ECTS, you have to stay for a month more, just beyond the standard end of the program. Next. So the program started in 2018, so now we have a bit of experience in running it. We started with small numbers, and now we are around 20, depending on the years, 20, 25. Ranging from people from background in their own university in Asia, in Europe, and US. Okay, and you can see a list of our current exchanges.
I think we're only seeing your cover first slides, though. We're not seeing the later slides.
No?
We're just seeing the cover slide. You can see the other ones on the left hand.
This one is not moving. Okay. Okay, sorry. So this one,
yes.
This was the second. You can see it?
Yeah, I can see that now. Yep.
Sorry about that. So we leave it with you. And then the 3rd one was this one.
Yeah, so we were just at that.
We were at this one. Thank you, Joshua.
Yep.
So we're running the scheme with around 20 to 25 students, depending on the year. Next one, please. So now if we go a bit into the detail of each module. So we have the first module on dynamical system. So it's rather theoretical part, really, on how to represent the dynamical system with applications to either space systems or aeronautical systems. Next, please. So each module has 6 ECTS. The module 2 is on aircraft structures, with reminders of probably what people have studied in terms of basic structures, beam theory, and continuous mechanics, but then applied more to standard use or standard representation of aircraft structures. And so the idea is just to see how loads propagate to wing, essentially, or the beam systems such as fuselage. Next one. So the module in the middle is the French language and cultural studies. So the idea is not to make you fluent in French, but rather to give you enough background just in French to have a basic conversation. But that depends really on your initial background in French. So it is tested before you arrive. So you will be in connection with the French teacher. We'll organize some tests, and then you could be allocated to different groups, just depending on your background. But usually the situation that we have is that people just arrive with limited French, let's say, and we try to polish it just so that they can manage basic communication in cultural or everyday life. And we take the opportunity also of that module to organize some visits, cultural visits, but also visits which are more technical. For example, we have a fairly good aeronautical museum, so that we use it. We've also a specific site on space. So that's also a good way of visiting and seeing a bit of technology of science. And also we have a couple of industrial visits. Next. So the fourth module is on aerodynamics and propulsion. So we take people with enough background in basic fluid mechanics, and we try to move to knowledge of aerodynamics applied to airfoils and then to wings. And we touch also a bit on high-speed flows, transonics, and some basic application of gas turbine in the propulsion side. Next. And the module 5 is dedicated to aircraft design. So the starting point is really from a blank sheet, really to capture the need. And we propose a step-by-step design process, right? Obviously, it's a preliminary design, so it's simplified, where you start with a program for an aircraft, let's say 150 seats, and then you try to size the aircraft by estimating the weight of the aircraft, the power of the engine, and so on, the size of the wing, so that at the end you can sketch the aircraft in a 3D way, at least in a simplified way, and you can start discussing the relevance of the aircraft. And the next one is the research project. So now we have two different types of, from this year, we have two different types of research projects. Either the standard one is the 12 ECTS. So the 12 ECTS is a relatively long one. It ends 1 month after the end of the standard lecture, so end of June. Or it can be shortened if you can't stay as long, and then it's replied by a 6 ECTS module. Obviously, just with the 6 ECTS module, we can't do that much, so it's more just dedicated to literature review or a very focused project. Okay. So we are helping the organization of all that teaching organization by Maud Sanson, who is the historical program coordinator. She's in charge of the timetable, the organization of classrooms, teaching materials, and so on, and to try to remind the teacher to be on time to the lectures and so on. So, all good things. So, okay, we have some rules, but we'll go fairly quickly, but just still we're expecting that you will be at SUPAERO, okay, just to have a good time and to expand your cultural background, but still just to follow some lectures and so on. So we have projects, as I told you, and you have plenty of time also to visit the country or other countries in Europe, as it happens quite often. But still, just at the end, we are asked by our colleagues just from other universities to return credits. So therefore, just we are asked to give you value for your time spent in classroom. So obviously there will be some tests and so on, and we expect you to come to all lectures. So next one, okay, there is an examination. So the pass module is 10 out of 20. We mark out of 20 in France, so use that. That's key. Okay. The timetable looks like something like that. Here it's for information because it's the 2019-2020. So roughly you have 3 hours per module and per week. So basically you have all mornings taken on modules. Usually we try to have a relatively compact organization in which you have lectures essentially in the morning, leaving you enough time in the afternoon to work on exercises or projects and so on. Okay. That's an example on the next slide, just of the organization. That's the first week, so which is the unusual one, where you have some visits and so on.
Is it possible to make it full screen? It's a little bit hard to read, not on full screen.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you see it?
No.
No, not yet. I still just see the smaller slide. It's okay if you can't get it full. Yeah.
Ah oui, d'accord.
That's a little better. That's a bit better. Yeah, yeah.
It's an example really of organization. Yeah, that's still one of the first weeks of the scheme. So, but it gives you just a typical organization where students usually start at 9. Also, we have some classes starting at 8. But the afternoon, basically the target is just to have the afternoon free, okay, which is fairly unusual in the French system. So that has been specifically tuned just to foreign students. So what we have to keep in mind is really at the end, the choice of modules is it's your take really, and has to be agreed between the students and the institution. Usually we ask, or we try to manage a first choice before arriving to France, but it is not unusual that the final choice of modules takes place really during the first week or the second week, but we try really to have the final choice in second week to make sure that people don't miss the first lectures. But at the end, it's really a story between the students and the sending institution. We try to make sure that people are registered fairly quickly. They can change, but really we do not encourage that because it's a bit disrupting to the lectures or to the research project if you select a research project, okay? So we hope that the setup is flexible enough so that you can tune the choice with respect to what you have done already in your institution, because we can't provide an infinite choice. So we thought that selection of top modules was a good start. Otherwise, you can select a research project. And that's basically it for me. So maybe already if you have some questions, I'll be happy to try to answer. And don't be shy.
Yeah, please ask any questions you have. Either unmute yourself or you can put something in chat if you'd like. If nobody has any questions, I have some questions.
Yeah, go ahead.
So how many total students will be in this program from how many different schools are you imagining? So it won't be only Michigan students.
No, as we projected just before, we have basically 3 to 4 US universities typically. Some people coming from Singapore, a couple of Brits, and then depending on the years, just people from KTH in Sweden. We had a couple of Russians, but for the moment it's frozen. Yeah, so that's basically it. So making a total of around 20-25. Okay. But our target is to grow to, let's say, 30. So there's a bit of room.
Yeah, in the past we had students from Vietnam, from Japan, I think as well.
Yes, and Japan. Yes.
Japan
also.
and South Korea, maybe. Yeah. It can be quite varied, but this year you have mainly.
Yeah, we have more Americans.
More Americans this year.
Mm-hmm. Anyone else have a question?
And we don't force you eating French food. Also, many students arrived this year, and the first thing that they commented was just, do we have enough time just to test all French food? So, to comment simply, that was a motivation.
Yeah. And something I wanted to mention as well is that although this program is tailor-made, as Emmanuel mentioned before, for our partner universities, and there's mainly international students in the program, we try through at the beginning, on the first week of the program, students meet different students from either the International Club, that is a student association dedicated to organizing events with international students, so that you would get a chance as a spring semester student to meet other students as well who are degree-seeking students in different programs, and also different students from different associations like the Sports Association, the Arts Association, because student life in the campus is very, very important. Like you saw, Emmanuel mentioned, you have the afternoons are free for studying, of course, but also you can take the opportunity of taking part in some of the students' associations like sports and other. It's very, very, very intense, the student life in our campus. The campus is located, it's not in downtown Toulouse, it's in the outskirts of Toulouse, but it's something which is quite maybe an exception in French terms. It's a proper campus with its residence where you can have accommodation and also sports facilities. And as I mentioned, a very important place, which is called La Maison des Élèves. It's the student association club where the students have parties. And so there's also a music room, there's a yoga place. I mean, there's different places. It's really, in terms of facilities, it's a fantastic campus. This is what I wanted to add. Although it's not easy, but you have the opportunity to meet students from the campus, being international or French students.
About just 40% the students on site are non-French.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we have two main programs. One is the engineer, ISAE-SUPAERO engineer program, which is mainly aimed at French students, but we also have students coming from partner universities who study in the engineer program and are generally from Europe. So it's quite international in that sense, because we have a lot of Spanish, Italian, Belgium, maybe German, Swiss students and other nationalities that take part, but this program is in French, so students need to speak and be able to study in French. And we also have a master's in engineering in aerospace engineering. It's a 2-year program, totally international, and that's where we have a lot of international students there.
Can you say a little bit more about the housing? I know that there's on-campus housing available, but it requires a separate application process, correct?
At the time of registration, you will be asked if you would like on-campus accommodation, and we will basically put you in contact with it's in the same campus, but it's not run by us. It's an independent organization, but we put you in contact with them, and they usually pre-reserve the rooms for you to come when you come in January. You can also decide, maybe students can also decide to take accommodation in town or share accommodation. That's possible. We give you links to different possibilities, but basically the one where you get most help is on-campus accommodation. It's basically a single room, as far as I know, where it has a separate bathroom, obviously, and a living quarter with a small little kitchen unit, but it's really small. You're not supposed to cook in the room, but you have I think there's a refrigerator, and then there's a kitchen area in the building, where you can cook your meals. But there's also a cafeteria and restaurant on campus, and students in general have their lunches there, that's for sure, because it's cheap for students and quite varied. It's kind of it's a buffet type where you can choose what you want to eat, and usually fresh food cooked every day. And the students really cater for breakfast and the weekends and evening meals.
And is the housing, would that be mainly with other international students, or would it be mixed with domestic?
Both.
Both.
Like a lot of
Okay.
international students would stay there, as well as a lot of domestic students would stay.
Okay.
So it's I think it's a great opportunity as well to meet other students. It's very close to the house I was talking about, the La Maison des Élèves, which is the student association place, and it's just beside it. And that's where They organize parties, events, sometimes in the summer when the weather is good, they organize barbecues outside. Yeah, it's a good place to mix and meet students. I would definitely recommend it for international students coming for, the spring semester. Is the easiest option.
Great. And
This is
what's
something that you can do, sorry.
the rough cost for the housing? Because I know that that's not included in the overall cost of the program.
It's around, I say it's around 350 euros.
300.
Yeah, there's different rates according to the rooms, but I think I could send you a link where you could see that.
Yeah, I feel like maybe you had said 400 a month at some point.
400 is probably the maximum, but yeah,
Okay.
around 400.
Okay. That's still quite affordable, I think. Yeah. Yeah, less than our students are paying here in Michigan.
Yes, it's affordable. It's it's easy access to the campus. Obviously, it's only a few minutes walk,
Yeah.
and it's nice. I mean, they're pretty recent. I mean, I don't know when they were built, less than 10 years ago, and yeah, close to the place where the restaurant is as well.
Great.
Yeah. You have the link, Joshua, or is this something I could send you? If
I
that's
think I may have it somewhere. Actually, yeah, I think I already put it on our brochure page. I even have a photo of a few photos of
share it.
the.
Sorry, we didn't think of.
Yeah, here, I'll go ahead and share my screen, and I've got a few slides that I'm going to present as well. So I can go ahead and do that. Share. Let's see. Okay. This is these are the photos of the housing that we had on our page.
Exactly.
Is that yeah.
Yeah,
And
that's
there's
the
links.
building, the main building on the left.
Yeah.
Is one of
Yeah.
the buildings, and then you have the rooms, the room.
Yeah. Yeah. So any students here, if you want to look at that, if you go to the housing tab on the M-Compass page, that's where you can find that. And there's links to the more info on the housing. Okay, I have a few slides I just wanted to go through. Just covering some basics on the program, some administrative things, how the application process will work. And then we can see if there's any more questions after that. Let's see, can you see that full screen?
At our end, we can.
Yeah, great. Okay, so again, these are the rough program dates. I don't know if there are exact dates set, but I know it's late January to late May, roughly.
That's correct.
Yeah. And for the Michigan students doing this program, the way that that like tuition and program fee will be set is because it's an exchange partner that we're working with. You're just going to be paying your regular University of Michigan tuition during this program. So the actual tuition costs will not be any different from a regular semester here in Ann Arbor. We already talked about the different housing options, and then the first application important deadline that you need to be aware of is September 12th. So that's going to be the final date by when you need to have that initial Michigan M-Compass application submitted. And I think everyone here has already started an app, but if you haven't started an app, you can go ahead and do that anytime. So really quickly, just talking about eligibility requirements. You have to be a College of Engineering student or an LSA computer science / data science major. I think everyone who's already started an app or here today would meet those requirements. It's open to undergraduate students only. We're looking for rising junior students or above who have completed at least 4 semesters of coursework prior to start of the program. We have listed out the prerequisite courses that we're going to be looking for to make sure that you have the prereqs needed to be successful in the courses that you would be taking there at Supero. So you have Math 216, you have Physics 140, and then you have those 2 aerospace courses. So as we're reviewing your applications, we will be looking for those courses. It's okay if you haven't taken one of those courses, or if you're planning to take it this coming fall semester, that's okay. We in that situation, we would usually like conditionally accept you if the rest of your application is fine and you're just currently taking one of those courses and plan to finish it in December. That would be okay. Like we already said, the coursework is going to be in English, so there's no foreign language proficiency for the program, though you will be learning some French language and culture while you're there. Of course, you need a valid passport. It needs to be valid through the end of 2025. So if you don't currently have a passport or you have one that is expiring before then, you should go ahead and get working on that right away, because it sometimes can take quite a while, especially over the summer months. I know passport applications sometimes get backed up. So you're going to want to go ahead and get that taken care of. And there will be a visa required. And as it gets closer to this fall and closer to the beginning of the program, there will be more details shared with how that visa application process will work. Okay, going really quickly through the timeline for applications. I already mentioned our deadline there. So we'll be the initial reviewers of your application. And if you meet our requirements, we will, what we say, conditionally accept you and nominate you, which basically means we're forwarding your application to Supero, and you will be required to complete like a secondary application, another application directly with Supero after we've reviewed and nominated your application. And then they will ultimately be the ones who are making the final acceptance decisions for your application. So I don't know if there's an updated timeline by when you think those decisions might be coming out. Was it October? Is that correct?
Yes, we discussed this morning, funny enough.
Yeah.
So I think mid-October, by mid-October,
Okay.
you should have the decision and the letter of acceptance coming very shortly after that.
Great.
Yeah, that letter is needed for your visa application. This is why we try and do it as soon as possible after we have completed the selection here.
Right. So sometime in October, hopefully that will be completed, that final acceptance. And then once we inform you of that acceptance, you will typically, the way we do our acceptance process, kind of confirmation deadline, is you have officially 1 week from when you're notified that you've been accepted to saying, yes, I commit to this program, I'm doing it. So you'll have a little bit of time in October there to make sure that you're ready to commit.
Yeah, just one thing, Joshua, once you nominate the students to ISAE-SUPAERO and you say, okay, these are the Michigan students coming, the student will receive a link to register with us. They have to register as well. Do a formal registration. And so that you're not surprised that, you probably have to do a lot of paperwork, and this is where you submit like your latest transcript, a photocopy of your passport, things like that,
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Correctly.
Yeah. So
you have that maybe. Sorry.
Yeah. So the things on this slide for what I call the secondary application. So these first things will be what you're just completing with our application. You'll see there's quite a few different questionnaires, learning content, signature documents that you have to go through. You have the 2 very short application essays that we'll be looking at. You have to put in your passport information at that phase as well. And then, for that second registration, secondary application process directly with Supero, you have those additional things, a transcript, a CV resume, letter of motivation. Am I missing any other important things there?
No, I
Are those
think that's it.
Those are the big things. Yeah. Okay. I always want to mention there's a lot of scholarship and grant availability to our students. If you already receive financial aid, you generally can have that repackaged and it's usable during your program. So that's kind of a misconception. Often students don't realize that financial aid can be used on education abroad programs as well. We also have several other scholarships, grants that I want to point out. We have this thing called the College of Engineering Go Global Fund. That's something that you will automatically be considered for. It doesn't require a separate application process, and that's awarded based on financial need. We also have blogger positions through our office where you can apply to be an official IPE blogger, and you're expected every week or so to write a correspondence about your time there, and you'll get a small stipend for that position. There's lots of other scholarships, too many that for me to mention here today, but you can always go to the funding page on our IPE website to see what's out there. I highly recommend taking the time to do that. That's the slides I had real quick. So yeah, does anyone else have more questions? Anything that we didn't talk about? That's a photo of the campus, right?
Yeah.
Hopefully I can visit someday.
Hopefully.
Any other questions? Have any students made it yet?
No.
No.
I'll try to find it.
Okay. So I have a question, Rainer, is it how you pronounce your name, or Beyonce? Would it be your first time in Europe, or have you, if you consider taking part in this program, have you been to Europe before?
For me, I have been to Europe a couple of times, and yeah, Reiner is correct. It's German, and so I have some family in Germany, so I've been over there a couple of times.
So you
Yeah,
have visited Germany. What
Yeah.
about France?
I've been. Yes, I went with my high school, I believe, or no, I went after high school. But yeah,
Okay. Okay, and you have studied French a bit then, a little.
yeah, in middle school and high school, I did. Yeah.
A little bit, okay. And just like that, you know, could you maybe say why you're possibly interested in coming to ISAE-SUPAERO and taking this course with us?
Yeah, absolutely. I hadn't really done much consideration of study abroad because I didn't see that many opportunities in aerospace engineering. But then when this came up in my email, I saw that the campus itself, the university, looks like it has so many great opportunities, especially for research and things like that. And then when I also saw that it would be taking, equivalent coursework to what I'm already planning on taking, in the coming semesters, I was like, well, you know what? I mean, I've wanted to go abroad to sort of broaden my horizons and study somewhere else just to see what it's like. And it seems to be kind of perfect. It's got lots of opportunities, and it's the same coursework. And so it's I was very interested.
Yes, the fact that you're not losing a semester, like it's a semester that will be counted in in Michigan, towards your degree or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly.
And it's the topic as well. You're interested in the topic and.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you for sharing that.
Thank you.
Maybe Beyonce? Yeah. Hello.
Yeah. My name is Beyonce, like the singer, and I will have not been to Europe before, and that's the main reason why I'm considering applying for this program, just because I think it'd be a great opportunity to really be immersed in a new country and also work towards my degree.
Okay, lovely. And do you have any questions, anything that you would like to share with us? I mean, as it's your first time, you said the first time in Europe or the first time in France? First time in Europe, abroad, really?
Yes, ma'am. First time in Europe.
First time in Europe, yeah. So I don't know if we could. I mean, as I mentioned, we are, you know, it's a proper campus, so it's actually quite safe, I think, you know, for the first time you go abroad like that, you feel you have your residence and you're close to your campus where you can study, you can also do sports or have social activities with students. You don't have to go, at least at the beginning. I mean, Toulouse is quite close. If you like, I mean, cycling, you could even cycle to downtown Toulouse. Is not that far. There's a canal where people like jogging. I mean, Julie is great at jogging. She loves doing that. It's just behind the school. And Toulouse is kind of a small, I mean, it's not a small town, it's middling, you know, it's a middle-sized town. It's not as big as Paris, you know, that can be quite overwhelming. It's a small town, quite friendly, very young, and highly, there's a lot of students in Toulouse, and a great student life, you know, very young. So yeah, I would say it should be good for a first time experience in Europe and France. Yeah, it could be, and we're located as well in a very nice area, southwest of France, very close to Spain, to the Pyrenees, the border that makes the border with Spain. We're only an hour and a half drive from the, you know, the easiest, the nearest part of the Pyrenees. We're very close to the Mediterranean as well, and very close to the ocean, okay? An hour and a half to the Mediterranean and about 2 hours, 2.5 hours to the ocean. As Professor Bénard mentioned earlier on, a lot of students, when they come to do the spring semester with us, or the winter semester, as you call it, I think, they take the opportunity of visiting other places in Europe. You know, there's loads of possibilities. You can take trains, you know, you can take a fast train to Paris. It takes 3.5 hours. 4 hours. 4 hours to Paris. And then there's a lot of possibility, even from Toulouse, to visit other capitals in Europe, like Lisboa in Portugal. You can go to Amsterdam, London, different towns in Germany where you have direct flights and cheap enough flights as well. Students always find great bargains to travel. And also, I mean, that's if you like to visit other countries and or visit France and the area around Toulouse, which is quite beautiful. You know, we're lucky because we live in a nice region. And yeah. And you should have also the way the spring semester is organized with, it's not always, every week is not like that where you only have classes in the mornings. Like you see this afternoon, the students are in class and finishing quite late at 5:30. But you know, in general, your timetable will allow you to have free afternoons, and especially the Thursday afternoon, which is dedicated to sports, you know. To doing sports, is free for doing sports or different events as well. It's a small cohort as well, like as we mentioned, Emmanuel mentioned maybe going up to 30. For the moment, it's up in the 20-25 students. So in general, you know, it's a nice cohort of students where you know each other, you interact with each other, and there's a real, I think, cohort feeling also. And maybe Emmanuel didn't mention this, but a lot of the classes are around doing group work, you know, you have to work with other students. The research project like that, but also the other classes where you interact with other students. It's not just lectures, you know, there's lab work, you have to work with, and you carry out projects with other students. Can be interesting as well. I don't know if you do that already in Michigan a lot, but here is, there's a good balance between lectures and also doing group work and interaction with work in small groups. And as Emmanuel mentioned before, you would have a visit industry to industry, like one of them would be Airbus. I think the students had the chance to visit one of the final assembly lines of the A350, I think. And they had a great visit where they could actually go into one of the planes. I mean, it's not always possible. It depends how, you know, what stage they are in the assembly line. But when it's possible, through maybe alumni, we try and get great visits, you know. And yeah. Okay.
That sounds amazing. I would love to do that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Rainer and Beyonce,
yeah.
do you have,
Sorry, go ahead,
were
Luca.
either of you considering the research option? Did you have any questions about the research options?
Yeah, I was gonna say, could you elaborate a bit on what that looks like? Because yeah, just in terms of like choosing a project and actually completing it and all that.
We'll have to ask Emmanuel, who's gone to try. He's looking for the students desperately. But when he's back, we'll ask him.
I think I do remember him saying that there wouldn't be any selection of projects until after you had already arrived, correct? Like I don't think it would be anything that you would be selecting pre-departure. But that's the only detail I really remember.
Here he comes. At least he can answer your question. There's a question regarding research, research projects.
Yes, yes.
Rainer,
Right.
if you don't mind.
No, go ahead.
Asking again.
Yeah, sure. I was just asking about the selection process and how that works. I know it sort of happens when we arrive, but is it you know, there are predetermined research projects and then we choose which ones we want to work on, or do we design our own experiments, or how does that all work?
Okay. There are two ways with respect to the choice of the project. It's either to choose in an existing pool of research project a list which has been created some months before for the master student, and usually we have leftovers. So we know that potentially we have supervisors for those projects. So for the last 2 years, I've been proposing just really those projects to spring semester. So that's one way. Another way, which is a bit longer in terms of setup, so usually there is a bit of waste of time in the process, is to have the students with a very strong motivation on a given topic, and then I try to find a supervisor, but that's really not the way I prefer, because it's a bit random depending on the interest of the student. So, you know, I try to make my best with respect to finding something for the student in line with the interest of the student, but at the end of the day, you need a supervisor, and that's the tricky element. So that's why it's a mixed bag really of ways of finding a supervisor. One is for sure based on the existing database coming from the Masters of Science, and we propose about 120 projects. So usually we have at least 30, 40 of them left across the board, in fluid mechanics or in aerodynamics, propulsion or control or whatever. But sometime at the last minute, I can find a supervisor, but that's the least probable solution to find a quick solution. Because the basic idea is for you, if you arrive in the first week, is to start a research project in week 2 or week 3 latest, because then you are left with about 12 weeks for the 6 ECTS research project, or 12 weeks plus 1 month, the month of June, for the long one. I hope it's clear enough.
Yeah, I think so. Thank you.
So what would be your specific interest, for example?
I'm not 100% sure at the moment. Propulsion is pretty interesting, but I mean, I'm open to pretty much anything that's aircraft related, especially.
Okay. So from last year, basically, I tried to enrich a bit the scheme, because here I'm talking about just individual research projects. But since last year also, I proposed some specific group projects. So each that depends on who is around the table and in terms of interests. For example, last year, I had the opportunity of building up just a group of people motivated in airship design, and another one was on hypersonic vehicle. So that's another way of progressing towards finding a good setup for project. But the key element is just to try to focus fairly quickly in week 1 or week 2 on the research project. And unfortunately, also the research project, if it's an individual one, cannot be really selected from before coming, because you need to have your identifier to get to our IT system to have access to the database. So it's only after registering in the first week that you can have access to the database, and I can't provide you that beforehand.
Yeah, something that maybe you didn't mention, Joshua, in your presentation is that, okay, the basic program runs from end of January to end of May, but could be extended by 1 month with the research.
If you select the 12 ECTS research
Right.
project.
Exactly.
Or we
Yes.
have a shorter version, the 6 ECTS project, which ends end of May, and which can be replace one of the other scientific module. The exception is we try not to invite a student to replace the French module by something else. Because we do think, and it's a bit our academic judgment here, that we think that it's part really of the experience of going through the French module, and I think that therefore we do not trade the French module against a scientific one.
Sure. For those students doing the longer 12 ECTS research option, will they still only be dropping one of the courses, or would they be dropping 2?
In a way, it depends on you.
Okay.
as long as I'm happy, as long as and just also the international researcher office just is happy about that, as long as we know that you agreed about the scheme of exchanging, it's fine. We just have a recommendation of keeping French, but the rest of the scientific ones, or the scientific modules, can be in a way all dropped to a single research project, or a double, rather, because it doesn't exist. In a way, it's up to the sending institution. As long as you sign the agreement with the students, fine.
Okay.
Does it make
Yeah,
sense
and
to
we're
you?
still in the process. I think that makes sense. Yeah. Yeah. There's some flexibility built in. Yeah. Yeah.
And that's what
Yeah.
Emmanuel
Yeah.
mentioned at the very
Yeah.
beginning, quite flexible in fact.
Yeah. Yeah.
But always in accordance with the home university.
Yeah, that's
Sure.
that's the target. So that at the end of the first week or end of the second week maximum, I can hammer just to the student that to send or to agree really formally with the sending institution about their
Learning
their learning agreement. Even if there was an initial learning agreement, then it's just to be sure that it's agreed on the other side.
Yeah, we have
Okay.
it, I think, pretty well described on our application page, the different options and courses. So it matches everything that you're saying. So for those who haven't looked, if you go to the academics tab on our brochure page, it describes all of the scientific technical courses and then the research component as well. The only thing we don't have on there yet is the exact credit that you would receive if you do the research option. I think we're still determining what that is exactly. That's the only thing that's not on there. But all the other courses, you can see like what the equivalent Michigan course is for each course.
Joshua,
Okay.
I don't think we're going to get the students.
Well, there was a call on the WhatsApp loop, but I still don't see anyone.
It's not that big, the campus, but anyway.
No, but
Yeah, I mean, perhaps if we had any interested students, we could try to connect them at a later date, if possible. Yeah.
Yes. We could arrange something. Oh, there's one.
There you are, when you think that's it.
Yes.
Hello.
Hello.
Sorry,
Sorry,
good
nowhere.
to see
No,
you.
it's just one. Please.
Yes, the others are on their way.
Are they?
Good.
Yes.
Okay, so this is to show you that they're so acclimated, how do you say that?
Acclimated.
How?
Acclimated?
Acclimated with the French style and the Toulouse style. There's always a 15 minutes.
Oh,
To
yes.
say
more
that. Yeah, there's kind of a, when you decide to
There's
meet on
some
a certain
flexibility.
time, there's some flexibility in time as well. Okay, so maybe you'd like to.
And so I disappear, so that I will not interfere in your decision.
Okay. Sounds good.
Thank you for coming.
Yes, of course.
Okay, the idea was like we have, maybe Joshua, would you like to introduce yourself?
Sure. Hi, what's your name?
My name is Kendall. I'm from the University of Florida.
Kendall, nice to meet you. My name is Joshua. I'm a staff member in the International Programs Office at the University of Michigan, and we're running this session for students of ours who are interested in doing the program next winter, spring semester. So yeah, I just want to say thank you for joining. Do you want to give like a quick introduction and like kind of talk about what your experience has been there so far?
Yeah, my experience is a little bit more unique, I'd say, just because this is my final semester in college. So I like once I'm done, I graduated. So it's been a little bit more different than everyone else because I've been able to have a little bit more flexibility with my classes because I don't need to take as many credits. But it's been really great. The classes here have been, it's been nice to be able to take classes outside of my university and kind of get a different taste of different types of engineering teaching styles, especially in Toulouse where I'm studying aerospace and aerospace is such a big hub here. That's really nice to get to see that. I'm currently taking the aircraft design course here. I'm taking the French course, and then I'm also taking research. And then I also took an online course back at my home university. But so those were the 3 courses I took here. So far the design course, I just finished my final project this weekend, and that was really interesting. We got to work with the Airbus model, the A320 model, which is right next door to ISAE here. So that was really interesting. And we had a professor from ONERA. I'm not exactly sure what ONERA.
It's a French laboratory.
Yeah.
Yeah.
French Aerospace Lab. Yeah.
French Aerospace Lab, exactly.
Also right next door. And so having him come in and teach our class is also really, really cool because he's currently working right next door at an aerospace laboratory. So that was really one of my favorite things about that class. The French class is really great because it's really engaging. We have a session where it's kind of more traditional teaching style on Tuesdays, and then Fridays we have a more engagement activity teaching style where we like talk a lot more and get to practice our French.
You think you've learned?
Yeah, so I've definitely, I started off with no knowledge of French at all. So, I mean, maybe a little bit on Duolingo, but I could probably say bonjour or whatever, but not very well. And so yeah, I've learned a lot of French. So that's been amazing, great thing to have, and it makes you feel good. And then my research, so I'm working with Professor Bernard for my research, and so that one's been going really well. He's really helpful with just helping students learn, and he's just a really good advisor, but I know other students.
Hello, thank you.
I know other students are working with different professors, and so that's really great. I hear a lot of different testimonies from them and how they like to work with other master students here and all that stuff. So it's also really great for me because as I'm finishing up my degree, like I have the opportunity to now look into coming here for my master's. So which if I might be interested in coming back, not this upcoming fall, but maybe the following.
Oh, you're coming back?
Well, I might, yeah. Yes.
Okay.
So yeah, any questions on that?
The 2 students who are really interested, but they're very shy. No questions for the moment. Yeah, it's not easy, not easy.
Thank
Yeah.
you for that. It's nice to hear like the firsthand perspective. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So maybe you could do the same, maybe just.
Talk about.
Of course, yeah,
Yeah,
so
introduce
anything
yourself.
specific? Oh, hello, I'm Redmond, I go to Purdue. Your guys' football team's really good, I have to admit. But yeah, so I think Purdue's first cohort of people that they sent to ISAE-SUPAERO was 2 years before mine. It was a relatively new program, I didn't know much about it. But when I went to Purdue because one of the reasons I wanted to study abroad in France. And the other option was like ISTACA and Versailles. But then I saw that there was a new program for ISAE-SUPAERO. And I saw that, it had like a very rich history in aerospace engineering, being the first aerospace engineering university in the world, being in Toulouse, which is France's aerospace valley, with Safran, Airbus, Dassault, bunch of opportunities in the region. I've actually got to network with a couple of regional like business administrators within the aerospace sector. So there's a lot of business opportunity here too. And then also just being situated in the south of France, it's one of the best locations in the country. We're really close to like Barcelona, Bordeaux, like Toulouse itself is an incredible city of which I'm in the process of becoming an ambassador for because I love it here so much. Yeah, like the weather's great. I know it's better than Michigan winters for a fact. And the
Although it
course,
hasn't been great this winter at all, but.
at least by Midwest standards, it's been amazing.
Okay, so maybe not.
I mean, I actually am from Michigan, so I know what Michigan's like. But
Okay.
Yeah, and so, yeah, I mean, there's like the student community here The campus is already, I think, 40% international. So it's very like the school is extraordinarily like well integrated for like international students, for like their participation and everything else that goes on here. There's a lot of different cultural clubs. There's plenty of things to do, and also the coursework I find extremely valuable because there are different ways and approaches you learn in doing stuff here that just aren't taught in the US. One thing that I kind of realized coming to Europe is that in terms of the use of like artificial intelligence and engineering, I'd say European education is definitely way ahead of what we do in America, especially with regards to like reinforcement machine learning, other stuff like that. So I got to take on undergraduate research here in which I'm using reinforcement machine learning to improve like the accuracy of airdrop packages, and they're like guidance and navigation systems. And I haven't even heard of like a single course being offered at my home university that like focuses on using AI in engineering. And so that's going to be like a really indispensable skill in the future, something that everyone's going to need to know. And I've seen it like on a lot of job postings, but nobody really teaches it. At least I've seen in the States, not yet. But over here, you can get great experience in that. And the great thing is like the research program we have over here, as an international student and even as an undergraduate, it's very easy to get involved. There's like postings for research projects on a integrated website, and all you have to do, I sent one email to a professor and I had my research project for the semester. So really smooth process, a lot of opportunities, new ways of learning things, and probably like the best location in France or maybe even Europe to study aerospace. So it's excellent.
We didn't pay him to come.
Yeah, he should be your spokesman. Yeah.
Yeah, it's great.
It's good to see happy students, isn't it?
Yeah.
This is our aim.
Yeah.
Okay.
Beyonce, Rainer, do you have any questions?
I will say
Already
one thing that's
convinced them.
unique. One thing that's unique about this program is like what I expected coming into any like exchange program is just to kind of be thrown into a university and be like there alone. But this one's really nice because we're with other students on the same program. So we still are able to fully get like meet all the other students on this campus, but we're not just alone with purely French students that only are interested in their French friends that they've been going to school with for years and years. Like we have friends from Singapore who are on this program. We have friends from China. We have friends like, I mean, he's from Purdue, I'm from Florida. We have, what are the?
Australia.
Oh yeah,
UK.
Australia, yes, the UK, Spain. So we have all these friends in this program that are from all over the world, but like we're specifically all together in our classes. And it's really nice to be able to kind of have that group.
Yeah. It's a ton of fun. I think one of the other things is like a lot of our learning, I don't know if she already mentioned, but it's extremely project based, which I think is a huge advantage because there's only so much you can learn by doing like homework exercises and like random mathematical computations without really seeing the connection. And I think it's just different when when your professor, back at home and in the US gives you like a sheet, okay, we want you to do like 6 Fourier transforms, versus over here they might tell you like, okay, we want you just like optimize us in airfoil that can have like these certain lift coefficients and lift to drag ratios at these angles of attack. We don't care how you do it, just do it, show like the process you use to do it. And yeah, like it's a lot more realistic because your employer isn't going to tell you to like, oh, I want you to do Laplace transforms. They're going to tell you, okay, I need you to like, I need this with like this efficiency, this like cost to, performance ratio. Like they'll give you criteria. They're not asking you to like solve equations. You have to figure out like what you need to do yourself. So I think it's a lot more practical. It's a lot more relevant. And yeah, almost no homework and a fair amount of like very like manageable in all the classes, but fair amount of projects. And I think you'll definitely enjoy a lot of them because they make you think a lot.
Nice.
We both staying in the residence.
Yeah, did that question get answered about the housing situation?
Yes, we did, but you could maybe add
Um,
something about it.
I love the housing situation. Personally, like I'm sure your guys' dorms is no different than our dorms, but it's, you're probably gonna have a roommate, and you're probably gonna be sharing a bathroom with your roommate or more. But here it's a lot different, like it's very foreign to them to be randomly slotted with the person in the place where you live. So you get your own room, you get your own bathroom. And the room comes with a mini fridge, it comes with a microwave that also has a oven function. You have like your own, there's a community kitchen, which is like the only thing you really have to share in, like community laundry. But it's right here on campus, and the campus is, compared to what you're definitely used to at U of M, it's small. It's like a street, it's one university, so, but it's really nice because like, it's nice to have that, so, the housing is much nicer than you could ever expect, especially paying no more than 450 euros a month. Include utilities.
This is what you're paying, 450?
Like
I
it's
think
usually,
like, sometimes it depends on the
It varies,
yeah,
depending-
it depends on the size of the
Yeah.
room.
450 is the higher end for sure.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's-
yeah.
like some of the smaller ones, and small by your like standards here would be like having a double to yourself back in the States. It was like 300 euros a month, which is really incredible. That's not something you can even like find back at home.
Yeah.
And sometimes like I don't know, I didn't do it, but there is like the like reduction program. What's that?
Um,
You did that?
APL, APL? No, it's.
No, it was, well, maybe it's called that, it's something for the government, I can't remember the name of
Yeah,
it.
what's it?
But
yes.
they subsidize your rent, so
Yeah.
they pretty much pay for like half of your rent, and so that includes utilities, it includes Wi-Fi, it includes, rent, so
Super easy.
it's really, great.
And you had no problem booking, it was done
Mhm.
prior to.
Yeah, there is a program, it's called Toolbox, like TOUL, like Toulouse. And we were supposed to be given that, and I know in the past, the people in the program have been like offered that. But we just somehow missed, I think it went to all of our junk emails or something, and none of us got the Toolbox thing, but it basically is a way to help you get acclimated and set up with all the things, like the
Opening a bank account.
opening banks accounts and opening the government subsidiary for the
Yeah.
housing and everything like that.
Getting the insurance for
Yeah.
the housing.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's
insurance.
kind of, there's a lot of things to do when you arrive.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Although if you're because I actually it is possible to not ever have to like set up a French bank account or anything. It depends on your phone carrier actually. If your phone carrier has a decent international plan that lets you like use service abroad for 6 months or more, like for mine, I think I only had to pay an extra maybe like $15 a month to use my phone like unlimited data internationally anywhere I go. So that meant I never had to like set up a French bank account, and then I was able to use like a virtual guarantor for my lease, so I didn't have to do that either. Like there's a lot of ways to do things, and then there's also a lot of people to help you figure out what you need to do. And so yeah, there are some benefits you can get if you like sign up for like local bank account, new phone number, like the housing reduction. But if like keeping your old number and everything's worth it to you, there's a lot of flexible options to be able to like be set up here and be secure in your essentials.
Nice. Nice detail. I know that we're at about an hour and a half, so we probably should start wrapping up soon. Any other questions from either of the students, either in that room or on the call? Questions or comments?
Is there anything, any advice or anything that you would like to give them, something that you would have?
I would do the program if I were you.
Yeah.
It's been a great experience. And I would do it again if I could.
I would say like probably the biggest thing I'd recommend is once you get here, because hopefully you will be coming because it's amazing. But there's, I don't know if it's been talked about, but there's like if you know what Erasmus Student Network is, basically there is this association. It's in a bunch of cities across Europe for international students, and it's its own like exchange program. But then other international students that aren't specifically doing an Erasmus exchange can also join it. for like 15 euros. It's very, very quick and easy.
What is it called?
Erasmus Student Network. ESN.
Oh, yes, ESN.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
No,
so-
we didn't talk about that.
Yes, so that's, there's a lot of, like the student association, everything, that's how you get connected at ISAE-SUPAERO. And then for me, Erasmus was how I got connected to like the wider city of Toulouse. And I would say like 90% of my enjoyment off campus has been because of Erasmus Student Network. You'll meet people. I've met people from basically every country in Europe, the Middle East, like a lot of parts of Asia. It's incredible being around like such an internationally diverse environment and just hearing people's stories from every corner of the globe, like Finland, Lebanon. I think I might have met someone from Malta even. It was pretty crazy. But yeah, it's definitely a great time. And then it helps you get integrated into the city and do a lot of things with other international students at different schools that are studying things other than just aerospace.
Yeah, because I mentioned that earlier, that Toulouse is a big university city with many students, different schools, and it's not just,
I if I remember correctly, I think Toulouse itself, 20 to 30% students, something like that.
20,
And in the
Wow.
Université de Toulouse itself, which is like the main university, there's like 115,000 or so students, and that's just the main like university system.
Wow.
For reference, that's over 10% of the entire city's population in one of its universities. So it is a great place for students.
Wow. Nice.
Okay.
Well, thank you so much for taking a few minutes to chat with us. Really appreciate it.
Want to give your email address maybe, and then for the students who couldn't join, maybe they can maybe contact you if you if they have any special maybe questions that Rainer, Beyonce, that you can't sing now but would like later on.
Sorry, it's a French keyboard.
Do you want me to help you?
Yeah.
Hold on.
Oh, there we go. We're on.
You okay?
I'll give you since my university email will be ending soon, I'll give you my personal email.
Hold on. Is that it?
Where's the
It's over here. Okay, that's it.
Okay. Okay. And then
Dot here.
I promise I'm actually good at typing.
Yeah.
On the normal.
And then enter.
Yes, luckily you will not have to learn how to use a French keyboard.
That's it.
You do get to keep your keyboard.
Yeah. You too. But yeah, feel free to email me.
It's actually being recorded, the
Okay,
session,
perfect.
so it will be given maybe to other students
Yeah.
who potentially might be interested in the
Yeah.
program. Okay.
Yep.
You can't figure out either?
I got it. I got it.
Okay, good. It's comment, yeah.
There we go.
Okay, enter then, yeah. That's it,
Got it. Great. Thank you.
okay. Thank you very
Okay,
much.
I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording.